Well, hello and happy Friday. I have
Happy
missed
New
that
Year.
little theme song. Happy New Year. Yes. This little song came on. I was like, oh my gosh, I have missed this so much. Welcome everybody to Hire Me Live. This is our Friday live session that we started last year, where we bring topics to you about different things regarding being hired. Uh, whether you've been laid off, you're looking for a new job, you're trying to transition careers. We talk about all of those different things, and we bring on guests as we can to talk about different aspects of this whole process of being recruited or recruiting, resumes and interviews. That is, we talk about all of that, all because our main purpose for Hire Me is to help elevate today's top talent. And the way that we do that is through offering free video resume interviews. There are 7 questions. I feel like there's 7 questions. I always forget the exact number. We have 7 questions that we give you in advance. You sign up for a time. Oh no, we're backwards.
We're switched. Hold on. I can fix this. Hold on. I can actually fix this. Ready? There.
Hey. So, I was like, new year, new spot on the screen for Heather. Uh, so, but you have you schedule a call with one of us. It's 15-30 minutes. If you're with me, it's 30 because I talk. Chris can do it in 15 because he's efficient. Uh, but you spend some time with us. We talk with you. We ask you these questions. We put it together in a nice edited video for you. So if you messed up a question, guess what? You get to re-record it. It's just fine. You can put your best self out there. It comes in the audio podcast. It comes on the video podcast on YouTube, and you can share it with your network on LinkedIn. You can share it with recruiters. You can share it with hiring managers. It's just a different way to put yourself out there and have people get to know you a little bit more in a setting that's not so stressful. That was a lot of things, but I'm
All the
so
things.
happy to be back.
We
So
are
it's so
back.
good to see
Yes.
you, Chris.
I know. So good to see you, Heather. Yeah, we haven't talked for a couple weeks because of the holiday and then both of our jobs, right? Ramping back up for the new year. So yeah, it is good to be back. Well, I mean, let's kick it off on maybe not such a high note because right before we came on, we were like, you know what? Let's kind of share some of the data that's happened, especially this week. There have unfortunately been a ton of layoffs, and just wanted to share some of the things that are being reported right now. A lot of these numbers are coming from layoff.com or layoff.fyi, as well as I've got an article here from LinkedIn. Google is laying off a few hundred people. Amazon is laying off about 5% of their staff. I think it's about 1,000 or so people, right, Heather? If
I
I
think
remember seeing.
so. And some
Yeah,
from Twitch too.
yeah.
Is
Twitch, yeah, is laying off 500 employees, which is 35% of their workforce. Absolutely insane. Some other big numbers or larger organizations, Unity Software, they're going through their third layoff, I believe, in the last 12 months. They are laying off 25% of their workforce, which is about 1,800 people. Duolingo is eliminating 10% of their organization. I mean, the list goes on this week. Xerox, Pizza Hut, Nike, GM, Etsy,
oh,
Hasbro. It is a brutal, brutal start to 2024. Looking at layoffs.fyi, we are closing in on 3,000 employees within the first 2 weeks. And those are just tech jobs that layoffs.fyi tracks. So some of these
wow.
other roles or other industries are not accounted in those numbers. So we're definitely in the few thousands, if not already hitting the tens of thousands, which is incredibly unfortunate for so many people and families to start off their 2024.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it because it's coming up on a year for me of the layoff, and I know it's passed for you already. Um, and it comes with a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
Just, thinking about all of the things that have changed and transpired and the good and the bad. Like there's been a lot of good that has happened, but it's not good in the moment. It's not it's not good immediately. It
Yeah.
takes time and it takes work and so if you or anybody else that is affected by any of these layoffs, whether it's the tech ones that Chris just read off or it's ones that in a different industry, just know that we feel your pain. We understand. Um, it's why we do this. It's why we offer the interviews, um, and offer to help you get your name out there, in that different way. Um, we've if you can go back on our YouTube channel, you can go back on our LinkedIn, and look at the previous Friday lives that we've had with some of the amazing guests. They've given some amazing advice on resumes and the mental shift and the mental piece that goes on when you go through a layoff and you're going through a job search. Go back and look at that library of information, because it is very helpful. And again, it's one of those things where maybe you were laid off with a team, right? So all of you are going through it, but it also feels very alone. You feel very isolated when this happens, especially if you're a remote worker. So, it's this is just another way to let you know that you're not alone in this. You can connect with some other people that have maybe commented on our videos, reach out to them, reach out to us. That's what we're here for. Um, and just want to acknowledge at the start of today that we know that this is happening again. Not that it ever stopped, I think, in 2023, but I think it did lessen a little bit toward the end of the year. But now at the beginning of the year, picking back up again, we know that it's not an easy time for a lot of people. Um, and I was caught off guard on, I think it was Wednesday. I saw somebody post, that they had been affected by the layoff at Amazon, and I was like, "Amazon laid off again?" So I had to go Google. I was like, what's happening?" And it had, like, just come out, like, a couple hours before, and just my heart goes out to anybody that goes through that because it's never easy.
Yeah. I mean, Heather, you and I, when we started this podcast, we were both, right, still in the midst of dealing with both getting laid off, both job hunting, the mental and emotional toll. So again, like Heather said, like we know what it's like, and but know that you have a lot of resources, a lot of support out there, including ourselves, and that's why we created this. And one of the things that we like to do on these live shows is to engage with you all who are watching. And even if you're watching this afterwards, you know, feel free to put your thoughts or questions in the comments, and we'll try and get back to you and answer them later. But today we really wanted to talk about something that sparked in one of our last lives, which was EQ. It's something that all organizations say they desire, right? The emotional intelligence. They might even put it in their job descriptions. They probably have it as, part of their value statement or, something like that, but they don't really actually measure it during the hiring process. And it is something that can help you stand out in a big, big way. And when Heather and I last, in the last podcast or last live stream, we were like, you know what, this is actually something that we can dive into. So again, if you're watching this live right now, feel free, add your comments, add your questions in. We'll be sure to answer them. But yeah, Heather, what is it about EQ that is overlooked, or that we think, or you think that people should really focus on when they're being interviewed?
I think oh, hi, Juliana. Oh my gosh. So by the way, she's gonna be a future guest, just so y'all know. um, I met her. She's going to be on my personal podcast, on my other podcast, and she's going to be a fantastic guest when we coordinate to get her on here because she is in a different country, so we got to do that time zone thing. But it's so good to see you. Hi. Um, get all excited because I see,
Yeah.
like, I missed this part. Um, but when it comes to emotional intelligence, I think that the biggest piece is, like, to start with, is people need to understand that it is a skill just like anything else. Some people maybe are born with a little bit more of this skill, just like some people are better singers and some people are better architects. You know, you're born with some skills, but you can learn these things through practice and study. Emotional intelligence is 100% something that you can do, and you can learn more about. And as you're going into interviews, when I was kind of prepping for this, Chris, I thought about this in two different ways, and so I'll kind of talk about both, and then we can go down either path.
Totally. Yeah.
There's obviously what we talked about in just the title, right? Using EQ to get the job. So how do you put that forward how do you show that in an interview? But I think there's a piece before that too. It's how do you use your emotional intelligence to do the preparation so that when you go into the interview, you're able to really display it in action and be able to tell those stories and be able to be concise and um so I'll let you choose whatever path we want to go down today.
Yeah, well, let's start
uh
chronologically, like, let's
okay.
start down the, how do you prepare to be like, to showcase your EQ before the interviews?
um, so I will say, so one of the books that I read last year that I really really enjoyed, it's Permission to Feel, by Mark Brackett, PhD. The Power of Emotional Intelligence to Achieve Well-being and Success. And it goes through a lot of things, and he has like a 5-step framework called Ruler to help you become an emotional scientist, basically. But when I went back through and I listened to the Blinkist this morning just to get reacquainted with it again, and one of the things that they said in there is when you're able to effectively name your emotion. So, again, if you've been laid off and you're job hunting and maybe it's long and it's hard and those emotions can get the best of you. But if you're able to name the emotion, you're able to articulate with some different verbiage other than feelings. Like those general kind of words maybe you use. I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm tired. When you can get maybe some more specific language around it, then you can work on moving forward. So
Yeah,
if you he has a part of this is this big, 4-quadrant thing of emotions. Like these are all words for emotions. There are lots of them. So, you know, if you think about, understanding the difference between being disappointed and discouraged, right? So I think about if I'm disappointed, right? I'm disappointed in something. It's a thing that's disappointing me. But if I'm discouraged, then it's I'm the one. Like it's more of a personal feeling versus
yeah,
something giving me that feeling. Um, so being able to name that, you can then move forward and you can work on it and do the work to get yourself back to one of the other quadrants like the green. So, where you're at ease or you're fulfilled and balanced and blessed, you get to use those kind of words versus jittery and frustrated and
yeah,
angry. So that for me is kind of where it starts, is being able to actually put the word that specifically describes it.
totally. Yeah, I think that that's something that, it's that self-awareness piece of emotional intelligence, of EQ, right? That, doesn't necessarily always get talked about, and something that I think is the foundation of EQ, that we need to be able to understand ourselves, of how we feel or how others make us feel, especially in the interview process or as we're about to go into it, um, so we can better prepare, right? Because if we, as I was interviewing for the role that I currently have, I had a lot of nervous excitement because this is an organization that I've been like targeting for a long time, right? And so being able to vocalize that, or name it, allowed me to really say, okay, well, how do I turn that into, how do I make that show up, right, in the interview, in how I answer, or in like what I describe as like passion, with the questions that I answer. So I think that that's something that we can always look at, is how do I understand myself and how it shows up either before the interview or within the interview itself.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I think because once you can do that for yourself, and you're prepared and going in, then when you've got, like, maybe you're on a panel interview, which those are always nerve-wracking, you got all
Yeah.
these people here, but you can kind of you maybe can tell through the body language or the tone of their voice, maybe they're struggling with something, and you can then show your emotional intelligence in being able to address it appropriately and not be thrown off by it, and not be, obviously you wouldn't be like, "It looks like you're about to cry." Like, you're not gonna say
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
but you may come back with a question of, you know well, the question you just asked me, it hits on a lot of emotional points, for myself, and I'm sure others in the room. Like, you can then pull it back to say, "Hey, I see you. Like,
Yep.
I get it. We're here at the same
100%.
piece." And, the ruler framework from this book, the, um I'm gonna find what it
Christian says
stands
reading the room.
for.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%. It's about,
Yes,
yeah, it is
Christian.
like, how do how, again, going back to how does that make me feel? And then understanding, okay, well, if I'm feeling that way based on the information given, there may be some emotional tie to how others in the room or the interviewer feels about it. Right?
Yeah,
And so you can then talk about, well, hey, it seems like it's impacting you in a certain way, right? Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it, like, is it an exasperation that it's causing? Like, is this an issue that's causing like frustration within the organization or within the team? Right. And then you can use that to say, okay, because then once you can name that emotion, or you can hint that you are recognizing that it's causing some sort of positive or negative emotion, then you're pulling more information out, and that's further strengthening that bond between you and the interviewer, as well as showcasing like your ability to understand what they're going through.
yeah. When I think about the kind of how this goes, and so I found the acronym, what it stands for. Gotta love a good acronym,
Give
right?
it.
So it's, recognizing the emotion, like, I have an emotion, there it is, okay? It's understanding that emotion. Well, what is it? What do I feel? Let me, be a little bit more specific, and then it's labeling it, right? So it's giving it the specific word, and then it's expressing the emotion, right? So how are you expressing it? Are you angry and you're expressing it with your fist? Okay, maybe that's not the best way to do that, because that would lead you to the next R, which is regulating. So how are you regulating that expression? So this goes for good and bad emotions. It's that's what it can covers all of them. And I think it's when you can get through the first four and you can get to that last one, that regulating emotion, because before you go into an interview, when maybe you've applied for 100 jobs and this is the first interview you've gotten, and so you're nervous and you're scared and you're thinking, I've got to feed my family, and like, you have everything,
Yeah.
being able to then say, stop, this is what I feel, this is how it's coming out, I understand it, how am I going to regulate it in this moment, how am I going to make sure that it's not taking me in the negative path, it's fueling me in the right way. It's being expressed in the right way, and fueling me to do good in this interview and give me that motivation to go in and kick butt.
Yeah.
That's what this can help you with.
Yeah, I love that tip. And that ability to regulate is something that, a lot, I think a lot of people, not saying that they don't know how to regulate, but to your point, how can I take that and then apply it in the appropriate manner in this situation? Right? Maybe it could be something like, within the interview, they share something that is a business problem, and you can say, "Oh man, how does that make the team feel? Like, how is that affecting the team?" Right? I bet it could be really frustrating, or it could be, one way or another, and then you can take that emotion and say, okay, well, this is, a way to lessen that frustration, or this is a way to, people are just tired, they're disengaged. Like, this is how you can like move beyond it. And again, it showcases not only your analytical ability, but also your solutions oriented ability to be able to move past it. And again, all of those things just kind of showcase a whole bunch of other like technical skills by using this one soft, I'm always gonna put soft skills in quotes, soft skill.
Right. The
They're
power
critical
skill.
skills, power skills. They're critical
Power
skills. They're
skill.
they're important. They're an important skill. It's
Very
an important
important
skill.
critical skills. Yes. Agreed. Agreed. And one of the things that I feel like, if I know I keep talking about this book because it is the book for me last year that sparked such a big thing about emotional intelligence. And there is an app that goes along with the book, and it's because it reminds me every day to track how I'm feeling, and I'm very bad at it. Um, I sh- I need to go back and do a better job. But oh, hold on. Oh, delete that one. Okay, it because it changed names. Let me find it. Um, I know exactly what it looks like. It's black with a heart. Because it reminds me all the time. Okay, I will find it. I think it's like, how do you feel? Oh, how we feel. Black with a heart. That's what it is. But it asks you, right? So like right now it says, how are you feeling this afternoon? And I can check in, and then I get to pick my color, like my quadrant, like where am I? I would say right now I'm in yellow. I would say that I'm energized right now. And so when you pick one, it tells you, it like gives you the definition. So energized, feeling like you are wide awake and ready to get up and go. And you can think, and so you can pick it and go, well, is that really how I feel? This is where that naming piece where you can find that name. Well, maybe I'm not energized. Maybe I'm excited, which is enthusiastic about something in the future. Oh, yeah, that describes me better. Like, and so then you can hit the button and it tracks it, and it asks you, well, what are you doing right now? Where are you? You can even put the weather in. You can put notes about it. And then after so many days or so many trackings, it gives you little bits of like coaching and encouragement too, to help you become this emotional scientist, to really understand yourself and be able to then start to understand others and help others, go through this. And if you're a leader, if you're a team member, anybody needs emotional intelligence because you're working with people, and having some of that is going to be helpful in any situation.
Yeah, I love that. I'm like, is that app free, or is it like,
It
oh
is
my gosh,
free. It is
Heather,
free. It wa
being
it
in
was
L
when I
and D,
downloaded it.
you and I being in L&D, I'm like, oh my gosh, you could totally use that for like leadership development.
So true.
Okay, we're getting off track. This is what Heather and I do for work. So like we're like, oh, how
Yeah.
do we like make better leaders or make better, how do we upskill our employees? But for you all, for again, if you are looking, for a job and you're in this process, being able to again recognize, I'm hearing, recognize that emotion, understand it, label, express, and regulate. I'm going to put that acronym back up here. Is going to be so key, right? And using that in the moment, and if you can I'm gonna guess that if you can go through this process, these 5 steps very quickly in the moment during an interview, it's going to be able to help you showcase your skills just that much more that much quicker,
Yeah.
right? Um, this is awesome. I mean, this is such a big, like, deep topic that I know that you and I can go into for probably hours. I mean, we can, like, we build
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we do.
development programs around EQ. Like, this is like hour-long workshops that happen over months and months and months of time. So I mean, Heather, any last thoughts about, using EQ to get a job or some other tips that maybe you found work work for yourself?
I mean, I think the final, like, big takeaway is you start with you, name it, feel it, be in it, don't push it away. Those emotions are okay. When you go through a layoff, when you're going through a tough job search, those feelings are valid, and you can and you will overcome them. And
Yeah,
it takes work, and it takes a village. It takes people and support around you, whether it's physically in person or it's virtually. I could not have gotten through everything last year that without people like Chris, without people like Sarah, and who lives in Minneapolis. I live in Florida. Like, I had a fantastic group of virtual support that got me through. And so just lean on that and know that you're going to be okay.
100%. Yeah. Last, well, I won't say last, but, my big tip is to lean into that emotion even in the moment in interviews, right? If you're excited, I think you can say, "Hey, I'm really excited," right? Like, I I am really excited about this prospect of a job. I'm really excited at the possibility of joining your organization. If you're nervous, acknowledging that and say, "Hey," you know, maybe they ask a question, be like, "Oh, give me just 1 second. I'm a little bit nervous," right? Like, give me a moment to, like, gather my thoughts, right? Again, showcasing that emotion and being upfront about it tells them that you are aware of yourself and how it might impact the process or what it would be like to work with you, right? That's exactly what they're measuring is what is it going to be like if this person were to come into our organization. And if
Yeah.
you are interviewing at an organization that's no emotions, like we don't have emotions here, right? Leave your emotions at the door, like one of those like really old school organizations. You don't want to be there anyway, and that's okay. And I understand everyone's circumstances are different. I was definitely at that point multiple times during my 6 month job search where I'm like, I just need anything and everything right now. Right. I will take whatever it is. And there are people out there that are like, I've been job searching for 8, 12, you know, 16 months, whatever it might be. And you do just need financially that job, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I would encourage you to be honest and upfront about any emotions that you do have. Um, if it is if it becomes overwhelming, right? Or if it gets very high, your emotions get very high, acknowledging it out loud so they can see, oh, this person's very aware of themselves.
Yeah.
Cool. They know how to regulate it.
Yeah. And saying that if you, especially the excited piece, if you say, "Hey, I apologize. I'm really excited about this opportunity because dot dot dot." Fill in the blank for them. Don't, because, "Oh, I'm excited." Well, are you excited just because it's an interview, or like,
Yeah.
why are
Yep.
you excited? So, like, add that. That's where you're understanding the feeling and why you feel it. That's how that pulls back in for you.
100%. Well, Heather, we are at time again. As
No.
always, it just blows by, flies by. Well, thank you all so much for joining us, all of you who joined us live, and for any of you who may be watching after the fact. Again, this is the Hire Me Podcast live show. We are currently for 2024 going to be doing these once a month, the second Friday of every month. But again, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube to get those alerts. Make sure you hit that subscribe and follow button on whatever platform that you're on or wherever you may be listening to this podcast. And as always, if you want to sign up, or you know someone that is looking for a job, make sure you sign up on the calendars, either Heather's calendar, who's on the East Coast, or myself, who is on the West Coast. Feel free to sign up. We are here for you. We're here to elevate you and showcase you in a new and unique way.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Thanks so much.
everybody.
Take care.